Hey everybody, it's Caleb Curry with Caleb Curry Reports and Predicts. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching our video today. I know it's been a long time since I've gotten out here and done a video. It's been a little while since we've done some election coverage rather than just candidate interviews statewide. Uh, but just a little overview. Today we're covering the Virginia House of Delegate primaries that are coming up. Actually, this video will be published on primary day in Virginia. Um, so this is just House of Delegates. The Democrats are having a statewide primary for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. The Republicans have already nominated those candidates. We'll probably break those down in the next week or two and do a general election display. We'll also do a video breaking down the House of Delegates races. All the Democrat primaries will be on June 8th, but some Republican have already happened. So when we break down the convention, we'll break down those as well. So we'll start out. We have over about 20 races we're going to look at today. Some of them we may I don't know a lot about. I'll kind of go through real quick. There's 17 incumbents, I believe, that's being challenged, is what I read, something like that. But we'll start as the biggest incumbent race here on the Republican side, and that's the House Delegates, the 9th District. This represents the, hold on, let me pull up here. This is the 9th District, which represents Franklin, Patrick, and Henry counties. It's currently represented by Delegate Charles Poindexter, who's been there since 2009. I think he was on the Franklin County Board of Supervisors previously. And he's being challenged by a party activist named Ren Williams, who's a lawyer, and he's the former chairman in Patrick County there of their Republican Party, and he also did some stuff to help President Trump's legal team in Wisconsin. This is a pretty serious challenge. As you can see, Ren's raised about $217,000, and Delegate Poindexter $129,000. On the Republican side of things, with the incumbent challenge, this will be the premier race to watch. Mr. Williams is trying to run, and full disclosure, I do know both of these men. I don't really know Delegate Poindexter a lot, but I do know Ren from my political activism, so I'm trying to be unbiased here. But anyway, Ren is running, as a young, energetic candidate, and that's really what a lot of this is boiling down to. Delegate Poindexter is one of the most conservative members of the House of Delegates, so it is very difficult to try to run to his right. And so Ren has just kind of established himself as a very as kind of a new generation, a new face. Trying to say that Delegate Poindexter is just out of touch on some issues, although he's not. It's hard to attack his voting record. When it comes down to it, this election on the prediction side, I think it's going to be close. I do think that Delegate Poindexter is going to probably pull it out, although Ren has outraised him. Delegate Poindexter, is from Franklin County. That's a larger part of the district. Most of the district is composed in Franklin County, so I think it'll be close. I do think it will probably be 52-48 in Delegate Poindexter's favor, and Ren will build himself up to have a future run. At some point, he probably will have elected office. If we come down to District 22 here, we see some of these we won't go really fully into just because they're not really, for the sake of time, like I said, we got over 20 to go into, but some of these are. We have around the Lynchburg area, you have the 22nd District, Isaiah Knight, known as Izzy Knight, a very, more libertarian guy is running against, and I think he's on the think it's Bedford County. He's on one. He's the Soil and Water Commissioner, which is an elected board, and he's running against Kathy Byron. Delegate Byron, I think Delegate Byron will probably, if she's outraised him quite a bit, I think she will win pretty comfortably. I don't think it's going to be really close there. And then we have Delegate Campbell. Ronnie Campbell is being challenged by Mark Reed. Again, Mark Reed hasn't really raised a lot of money. I think it won't be that close. Delegate Campbell will probably win by 20 or 30 points or more. The 51st district is a interesting race. This is for current delegate Haya Ayala, who's running for lieutenant governor. It's her seat, and actually she's not seeking re-election because she's running for lieutenant governor. So the Republican primary is between Tim Cox and Jeff Dubb. Jeff Dubb has ran a lot. He ran for Congress in the 11th district, I believe, was the nominee and lost. Then ran in the 10th district, lost. Now he's running again. I actually believe Tim Cox will probably win, although I'm not really sure on that race. We go down to the 68th district. This is to run against Delegate Dawn Adams, who we'll talk about later on the Democrat side. She has a very tough race, and it's Mark Early Jr., who's the son of the former Attorney General. And if I'm wrong, please forgive me. And he's running against Mike Dickinson, who's just a local activist. I think Mark will win pretty comfortably and go on to November. I'm not sure about the 72nd district. I won't really go into that because I'm just not sure. And it is Tom Gardner and Christopher Holmes. If anybody has anything, feel free to comment on that. But I'm just not sure on that, so I don't want to comment on one that I'm not, don't know well on. So then we come down to a big one, and this is the 83rd district. This is to take on Delegate Nancy Guy, is her name. This is in Virginia Beach. It's I think almost all Virginia Beach. Let's see here. It may have a little bit of a different. It's all Virginia Beach with a little bit of Norfolk City. This is a pretty. If you're going to take back the House of Delegates, kind of like we talked about the 68th district earlier. This is kind of like that. This is a key one to take back. So we'll see who the nominee is. You have Tim Anderson, who's a very well-known attorney across the state. He's very big in the Second Amendment rights group, gun rights advocate. Tim has done a lot of concealed carry permit trainings across the state. He's a very well-known guy. Then you have Phil Kaczmarek and Chris Stolley. Chris Stolley is the former delegate. Not really saying anything bad about Phil Kaczmarek, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I probably did mispronounce it, but really I think he's going to come in third. Hasn't raised a ton of money. This race is really between Tim Anderson and Chris Stolley. I think Tim Anderson will probably pull it out, but it will be extremely close. I think Tim will defeat former delegate Chris Stolley, who lost last time by less than, I think, 100 votes or less than 50 votes. Very close election. I think Tim Anderson will win by about 2 points. So it'll be an extremely close race, though. So that's all we have on the Republican side of things. We'll turn over to the Democrats. As you can see, the Republicans have already had some races. But now the Democrats, we're going to try to cover all of these races. These are, a very interesting dynamic to kind of take into the point of the Democrat primary is that this, unlike the Republican side where you are seeing some ideological battles for sure on the Republican side of things, the Democrats, this is a big ideological battle over whether you accept money from Dominion, which is one of the power companies in Virginia. We have two major power companies, AEP, which is the Appalachian Electric Power, and then you have Dominion. That's most of the state Appalachian Power is mainly on the western part. So Dominion is most of the states. So whether you accept Dominion money or not, and there's a group called Clean Virginia, and they're about clean renewable resources for energy, and they have uh, the founder of that, him and his wife, I think his name's Michael Bills and her name is Sonia Smith, have spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in these races. And we see this first one with Delegate Candy King being challenged by Pamela Montgomery. That's really kind of where most of Miss Montgomery's funding is coming from. This is a Northern Virginia district. It used to be represented by Delegate Jennifer Carroll Foy, who resigned to run for governor. Uh, Delegate King won that in a special firehouse primary earlier this year and then beat Heather Mitchell in the general election. It was very close in a pretty Democrat, what has become a pretty Democrat district. Delegate King only won by a couple hundred votes, by a point or two. I actually do think she'll be defeated by Miss Montgomery by about 3 or 4 points. It's going to be very close, but I do think Miss Montgomery will defeat her, and we'll have a very close general election. Then some of these we're just going to go down because, real quick, District 7 primary, Derek Kitts and Tara Orlando. That's in the Christiansburg area. That's a super Republican district. I just kind of live near there. It's about an hour from my house, hour and a half, this district. I think that Mr. Kitts, he ran for Congress and was defeated very soundly by Republican Congressman Morgan Griffith. I think whoever wins is going to be defeated by Mary March, the Republican nominee for that district. It's not even going to be close. I do think Mr. Kitts will win, though. 29th district, that's up near Winchester. I'm not going to comment on that because I don't really know, and it doesn't really matter because the Republican will win that. It's a very safe Republican district. Then we come down to the 31st district. This is a big one. It's Delegate Elizabeth Guzman. Her seat against Rod Hall. There's also Idris O'Connor and Kara Pitek is running, and like I said, I may pronounce those names, I'm sorry. Mr. Hall and Delegate Guzman both have raised a lot, very competitive race. Delegate Guzman was going to run for lieutenant governor and said she would only run for one seat, and then she ended up filing for lieutenant governor and House of Delegates, and then so Mr. Hall had already had been endorsed by some pretty high-level officials in the state, so it's going to be a very tough primary. I do believe that Mr. Hall is going to win by a couple points, just because I think a lot of people do feel kind of upset that Delegate Guzman kind of chose to run and to kind of use that delegate position as a springboard. I just don't think it looks good in that particular race, and I do think because he's well funded, he's well known, he's a very good candidate. I do think she will lose. Then District 34 is Jennifer Adeli's taking on Kathleen Murphy. Delegate Murphy has outraised Miss Adeli by a lot. Of course, Miss Adeli is a progressive challenger. Delegate Murphy is more of an establishment figure. I do think she's going to win, though. Delegate Murphy probably by 10 points, maybe a little less, between 5 or 10 points, but I do think it's going to be a kind of comfortable win. And not really much there. I think Delegate, then we go to the 36th district, which is Delegate Ken Plum versus Mary Barthelson. Again, not going to spend a lot of time here. Delegate Plum, I think, is the most senior member in the House of Delegates. He's going to win. I don't think it's going to be close. Then again, we have in the 38th district, Delegate Kay Corrigan's Holly Hazard. Again, another progressive challenger. Ms. Hazard has raised $110,000. That's a lot against an incumbent. I still think that Delegate Kay Corrigan is going to win. I think it's going to be probably by about 5 or 10 points, just like Delegate Murphy. It's going to be one of those things where these incumbents are going to have targets on their backs. They will survive. How much longer will they survive is a different story altogether. Then we have Delegate Mark Levine is being challenged by, I believe, she's a councilwoman, Elizabeth Bennett Parker. This is up in Northern Virginia. Uh, Delegate Levine is also running for lieutenant governor. He's embroiled in a scandal where he used official office letterhead to tell people to vote for him for lieutenant governor and delegate. Which is not good. And so I don't think he's going to win either lieutenant governor or this. I think that Miss Parker, Bennett Parker, will defeat him. Then we go down to the 49th district. This is also a Northern Virginia district. It's Delegate Alfonso Lopez against Kashmira Mehta, and I'm very sorry if I mispronounced that. I do think that Delegate Lopez is going to win, although Miss Mehta is very well funded. I do think that Mr. Lopez will end up winning by 5 or 10 points. Again, these progressive challengers are making a name for themselves and are definitely setting themselves to go forward. Then we have the 50th district. It's Delegate Lee Carter versus Michelle Milando and Helen Zurita. I think Delegate Carter is one of the most progressive members of the House of Delegates, if not the most. He's running for governor. I think so. He's on the ballot twice, but I do think because there is votes split against him that he will end up winning. And we've learned in Virginia politics never to underestimate Lee Carter. So I do think that he'll win this primary, not the governor's primary for sure, but I do think he'll win his House Delegates primary. Then we go on to the 66th House district. That's former former Speaker of the House, Delegate Kurt Cox's seat. He is retiring on the Republican side. The Democrats think this is a possible get. I think that Miss Katie Sponsler is going to defeat Leonard Harris. She has some funding behind her. She's ran before when the district was comprised a little differently, but I think that she will go on be the nominee. Then we looked at the 68th district. This is Delegate Don Adams, and we talked about this on the Republican side where we thought Mark Earley Jr., where I believe he'll win. This is Don Adams versus Kyle Elliott. Kyle Elliott is well funded. Progressive challenger to Miss Adams. I do think it's going to be by 2 or 3 points, but I think he's going to edge it out and defeat her. Matching her with money. And I'm not extremely confident on this race like I am some of the others, but I do think that Mr. Elliott will win. 71st district, that's Delegate Jeff Bourne versus Richard Walker. I don't think this is going to be close. I think Delegate Bourne is going to win pretty comfortably. Same in the 74th district, which is Delegate Lamont Bagby versus John Dantzler. Not going to be very close. Then we come to the 79th district. This is a very close race between a young progressive advocate, Nadarius Clark versus Delegate Steve Heredick, with another challenger, Dante Walston. Nadarius Clark is better funded than Delegate Heredick. It's really, again, on that clean energy thing and the progressive challenge. I do think Delegate Heredick, Heretic. I may pronounce that wrong. I'm so sorry. I do think because he has two challengers, he's going to edge by 2 or 3 points. But if he only had one challenger, I do believe he would lose. But I do think he's going to barely stay on. But how much longer? That's a really good question. This is in the Hampton Roads area. Now we go to the 84th district, which is in Virginia Beach, and that is to challenge Republican Delegate Glenn Davis. That general election was really close. Delegate Davis only won by about 500 votes last time. So it's a very close race. And it's seeing a Tracy Liggard against Kim Melinek. And I think Kim was on the school board. I'm not sure, Ms. Ligwid. And I may pronounce it wrong again, so sorry. This is a very, we got a lot of headlines. Ms. Melinek has supported Republicans in the past. And so for her to be running as a Democrat has been kind of controversial. And that's why I do think Ms. Ligwid is going to end up winning and is going to defeat Kim Balnick there. In the 86th district, it's Delegate Ibrahim Samira versus Irene Shin. Again, Irene Shin is a progressive challenger. Her main argument, though, is that Delegate Samira is just not effective. She has a lot of support from some current elected officials, and she has raised over almost $275,000 to his just 191. So I do think that she will end up unseating him. There's another incumbent down. I think I'm up to 5 now. And then we go to the 89th district. That's Delegate Jay Jones, who's running for Attorney General, versus Hannah Kinder. I do think that he will win that race. And then we go to the 99th, which I'm just not sure. I'm not even going to talk about because whoever wins that will take on Delegate Margaret Ransom in a very Republican district. So I'm sorry for rambling on for so long. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It means so much to me that we have so many people that watch this, and thank you guys so much. I was on VPAP, the Virginia Public Access Project. They're amazing. They'll break down results. They break down the counties of the district, as you can see, funding, a great resource. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you could hit like and subscribe, you'll have a blessed day.